Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Albert, and I don't know why, but every single time I open up my mouth to speak, I think it's because I'm getting older, and honestly, because I just had a soda, and I'm so anti soda. Cola, Coke, call it whatever you want. I personally refrain from calling soda Coke anymore just because of its implications that it's not only had in real life, but as it has pertained to me in my most recent debacle of my own human condition last year. Hey, thank you for watching the channel. I really appreciate it. My name is Albert, okay, and I host this show called VlogsBoutNothin. Now, if you're new to the show, or if you're new to the channel, or if this is the first time you've ever seen my face, I wish you the best of luck in terms of just overall. Not just because you've seen my face or stumbled upon this channel, but just even if you hadn't, you know what I mean? Like, that would still be the overall vibe. Hey, I just learned that Kirk means church, which is blowing my mind because just the secular sort of homage paid to the religious world on behalf of the Star Trek creator is mind blowing. It's more telling than George Lucas in his sort of adaptation of the ultimate story of the Immaculate Conception. Hey, we're not here to talk about that tonight, actually. And once more, my name's Albert, and thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time, and we're going to jump right into the subject matter for tonight. It's important to keep in mind that I'm an impromptu speaker, I'm an improvisational sort of entertainer, in that I feel confident within my own speaking abilities to try and convey, some hardline messages without having really done any research, So I'm just saying that, like, what I say should be taken with a grain of salt. And I always encourage people to do their own research, right? Because I'm not the dude, I'm not your teacher, I'm not your parent. I'm a guy behind a desk talking about nothing, just adamantly hoping that my life will turn out the way I want it to. We all have selfish tendencies, including myself. And also, moreover, I'd kind of just like to start with being able to not shave my eyebrow off. But we all got to start somewhere, right? So tonight we're talking about sex work. Yes, we're going to talk about it, okay? Now, I need to remind, obviously, people out there who might have problems with this subject matter that it is in fact something protected by that little thing we call the Constitution, which fortunately for us, platforms can't even sort of, make their own rules as it concerns. If you play by them, you're good, And so, just a friendly reminder, I don't say bad words, on camera. And I definitely don't mean to offend you. Part of me, the biggest part of me doesn't mean to offend you. There's a real small part of me that doesn't care and kind of hopes that you do get offended, and that maybe it'll, sort of make you think a little bit outside the box. Okay, sex work. What is sex work, right? I mean, and obviously the ultra uber conservative sort of, argument to what is sex work, I think would be responded with in kind, in that sex work is one of the oldest professions on the earth, in terms of, like, yeah, I guess if you're, anyways, I don't want to get too un-PC with this one. If you're a good-looking person, I'll leave it there, right? Good-looking person. You don't have to be a good-looking girl. I guess just good-looking person, right? So, okay, sex work. In the modern age, one can define sex work as any kind of work that you do for money involving sex. Now, again, this could be in the legal sort of way that we have it now. I mean, have you heard of OnlyFans? Have you heard of all of, the other most visited and trafficked websites on the entire planet? I mean, they're all adult oriented, and so religious or not, secular or atheist, sex is something that touches us all. in sometimes more than some ways that we don't want. Oh my goodness. I am a Catholic, by the way, and every time this subject comes up, well, I know where I'm going. In terms of like, I mean, it is what it is. I'm happy that the Pope apologized. At the very least, holy potatoes. Okay, I'm gonna stop. All right, so in the modern era, I really gotta stop, right? Just because, like, yeah, I don't, I can't be getting people too mad here. So okay, I think sex work. I'm pro sex work. Obviously, I am an advocate for human rights, meaning a few things, and some of them, the implications arguably can be argued as far as their values and morals are concerned. But are they really? And this is what I ask myself, because as far as morals and values are governed, I would then tell myself the thing that supersedes our own tendencies to tell people what we think they should be doing or not doing with their body is human rights. You feel me? And the fact that we live in a world, it's not just me, we live in a world where Roe v. Wade was overturned, right? And that's kind of a big, big thing, a conversation that's, I'm sure, being had in many households all over the country. Um, Here's the thing, right? Again, sex work is what it is. I think if it's regulated, I think if it's not viewed at as some sort of stigmatized thing that people do when they have nothing else to do, I think it would be more socially acceptable, as well as an actual opportunity for some people. Yeah, I said it, in that there's nothing wrong with informed consent and with, other adults choosing to do whatever they would like to do with their body. And yeah, I pay money every single time I go to a fast food restaurant. The likelihood of me dying from their food is just as high in the long term, right? Not immediately. Let's not get all Alex Jones. No one's eating Big Macs and passing out, so far as I know. There's only one restaurant that does that, and it's in Las Vegas. They get the ambulance there many times on over. Anyways, so listen, I'm just a proponent and I advocate for human rights. I am a male. Anatomically speaking, the guy here is a dude. I was born that way. I choose to stay that way. I'm going down with the ship this way. I don't know. It's just the team I was born on. I can't help that. There's some things in my life I can help. Who I was born is definitely not one of them. But again, as a 36-year-old with obviously a perspective on, I think prostitution should be legal. Again, I guess I might be the only modern day willing to say practicing Catholic with such convictions. And I ride them. I ride them all the way. Because again, it's a human rights issue as far as I'm concerned. I'm not the guy. I literally, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do or not to do with their body. And I feel like people that do, well, I feel like those people are called pimps usually, and like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a pimp. So like, I'm just not interested. Anyways, I feel like, people, Australia, for example. The United States is one of few nations, industrialized nations, developed nations in the modern world that frowns upon prostitution, right? In that it's something that goes on here in America, but it's something nobody wants to talk about, much less actually deal with. In terms of, I mean, we'd rather have workers out on the street, unregulated and committing potential criminal violations as an extension of the sex work and not the work itself, in that often sex work isn't ever really even the issue with a lot of the prostitutes out on the street, as it would be, in terms of they act more sort of like also pushers and peddlers of illegal substances. And there begins to be this sort of, again, like categorical distinction between criminal behavior and what is deemed criminal, right? As in soliciting, peddling, and pushing illegal narcotics in any kind of a fashion, that's already in itself one kind of a legally irreprehensible kind of a thing that's occurred, right? But like you add sex and all these other things to it, I just feel like I'm a guy talking about how I would think prostitution should be legal, and how it could work, right? But again, it's all redundant in that I'm a guy talking about essentially, again, human beings, right? But moreover, yes, in fact, it's often women that are victimized in feeling shameful for soliciting their body, especially here in America. And I think that's false because, again, women should be empowered. People should be empowered to do what they want to do with their body, whether that is an abortion or whether that's prostitution, whether that's prostitution out on the street or it's behind the safety and comfort of your screen in your room at your crib. It's the exact same thing. Like, except, if we're going to stigmatize and call one thing a pimp or not, then how is OnlyFans not? Like, you see, they're not, though. They're not. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's different because OnlyFans is regulated, the streets aren't, in that it's still a very, very weird topic to discuss out there, but yet everybody, like, watches it, and, it's a weird thing, and I don't want to be weird. I don't want to be old and weird, I'd rather just be old, or just weird, but not that weird. In that, again, I acknowledge and I understand that, especially as the world changes and we have scholarly debates as to sentience as it concerns sex robots, but yet we've failed to sort of really take into account our own species as it concerns our sexual behavior and what we think is allowed and not. I mean, it's confusing. So why make it so confusing? In that, if a woman chooses to do what she wants to do with her body, including but not limited up to using it to make money so that she can support herself, or a guy, or they, or them, or a transgender, whatever, your body is your body. And as long as you're not, again, I'm not a fan of self-harm. I think that that's not good. I think none of us should be getting our kicks off by hurting ourselves. But again, you're hurting yourself, I mean, I think that's silly. I don't want people to hurt themselves for any reason whatsoever. And I will continue to do things and advocate for, like, reasons for people not to do that. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, your body is your body. Your life is your life. Your decisions are your decisions. And it's important that we understand this because it's a really big part of embodiment of, like, free will and basic understanding of human rights that pertain to all of us, which are hard to come by in the modern day because of, so many different people trying to control everything. I mean, it's almost laughable, right? And that people try to control the uncontrollable. And again, there's no mathematical equation, there's no religious doctrine. Human beings are very unique. And this is what I stand by. Human beings like sex and they are curious people. I think to punish a curious species for being sexual in nature is wrong. Again, I think people should be liberated in a way that doesn't invade or is intrusive to our individual selves, in that if you don't want to buy it, don't. I mean, again, you don't have to, as a man, believe that women can sell their bodies. That decision is not up to you, my guys. I'm sorry, it's not. It's really not. What's up to you is whether or not you think you can make a buck doing it. But I dare say that, there's probably only a handful of men on this entire planet that would work for. Go figure. The irony of being a man. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I didn't write the rules. But so far as I see, this is how it is in the modern world. So, yes, prostitution should be legal. And I think that sex workers should be treated better, and they shouldn't be treated in any kind of a stigmatized way because of what they choose to do with their body. Again, like, unless it's forced, obviously, as in anything in life, without informed consent, it all kind of means nothing. Seriously. But with informed consent, in that all parties understand what's happening, I think, again, to take away rights is just something that is not an overall good thing. I think people should be given more rights. And again, I know that that's in itself is a tricky sort of scenario, but there's no other way. There's just simply not. I mean, have you read about the last 2,000 years? I mean, I have, and it just appears as if things aren't working. When it's broken, you fix it. When it's not, you don't, right? So clearly, my argument would be that it's been broken for sure. So instead of doing things that we know aren't going to work, or that we know haven't worked, I think it's just important to try new stuff and see where that takes us. Because again, we know where the other decisions bring us. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just not very happy with the results. I mean, again, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not the one really that has the opportunity to go make six figures out there on my first night starting on OnlyFans. Again, opportunity costs. Jealous people, especially the people that run the world, in that, a bunch of dudes or whatever. Yeah, I mean, jelly. It's jelliness. Anyways, I hope that you guys have a really good night, and don't get too mad at me that I think people should be able to do what they want to do with their bodies, right? Not just abortion, but also prostitution. I hope you guys have a really good night.